And
G'day.
I think he's there. Good day to you.
You're right.
Nice to see you. Hey,
Yes,
hi.
good to see you too, bro. And I meant to say a big happy birthday, bro.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it's my birthday today. Yeah, I try and keep it a secret, but everyone seems to find out. I don't know why. Maybe social media is the reason. Yeah,
Oh,
welcome to the Global Icon. This is our new segment. It's called the Global Icon Conversations, and we're talking today to the amazing Grain Candy. Welcome.
thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So you're in Berlin right now.
I am in Berlin. Yeah. I'm not stuck here. I've decided to stay here and live here. So it's beautiful. But yes, I've been here for 8 years and love it.
Right, let's start at the beginning. You're from New Zealand originally, which is an absolutely beautiful island. Why leave this dream place and go to Berlin, which can be very cold in the winter, very grey, and very loud?
Very dark as well. I think it's like 4 p.m.
Yes.
The darkness comes, and yeah, I mean it's kind of the most common question when if I do meet a German, they say, "Where you from? Wo kommst du?" And I'm like, New Zealand. They're like, "What are you doing here?"
Right.
Why make it here? But to be honest, I used to have a music bar in New Zealand. I built it with two of my mates. We wanted to make a 24/7 live music all the time. We're open, just having live, musicians playing. And obviously that was quite difficult to make happen. So when musicians weren't getting up, or, we had after parties where like Mumford & Sons would come or Black Keys would come and play, and we would jam. It was amazing. But when people weren't playing, I would get up and just sing music and covers music. So I was fueled by beer, and I could sing a lot of songs for a long time. And then one day my now manager, Matthias Mueller from Crazy Planet Records, he came and sat down and was hearing me sing and made a couple of videos.
And this was in New Zealand?
This is in New Zealand. This is like 2012, end of 2012, a long friggin' time ago now. But I mean, he took some videos, sent them over to Crazy Planet Records and BMG, and the guy came up to me and said, "Do you want to come to Berlin and start a music career? And I'll pay for everything, flights and accommodation." And I mean, I thought he was drunk at the time, so I kind of just said, "No, thank you, and nice to meet you, and be careful on the way home." But
okay.
But anyway, we by chance, I was on a date with an actress, and then I saw him. And I was like, "There's the guy that offered me
that drunk guy from Berlin."
Yeah. So I went up and said hi, and we kind of instantly clicked, and he's such a great guy, and he reoffered it to come to Berlin. So we had a meeting, and everything kind of was just kind of too good to be true. So I thought I'll give it a go. I left the bar and came over, and everything he said, he did it. And I first day here was St. Christopher Street Parade, 500,000 drunkens and crazy stuff. Second day was Mount Park.
Half naked,
people doing whatever they're doing in the bushes, on whatever they're on. And I was like, I love this place. I'm going to stay right here.
So what did your mates say back home in New Zealand when you said, "I'm going to Germany to start a music career, and I'm going to leave the bar"? That's like in the Summer of '69 song, "I'm just going to leave the band." And everyone's like, "What?"
Yeah, I mean, it was a surprise also to the guys because, we did this thing together called Poland Public House. So it's kind of hard to leave, a child that we kind of, birthed, which is,
yes.
A lot of great. It was kind of connecting a lot of New Zealand musicians with international musicians. It was very, very special. So that was it was a bit hard. I mean, to be honest, I left it and I didn't get anything back from it when it was sold. So I think hopefully we're all good now, me and the guys. But that was a bit hard. But I think the hardest thing was telling my sister, because she knew myself and she knew my personality. And she was living in Berlin at the time, and she's like, "Don't come to Berlin.
Oh.
I know you. If you come to Berlin, we might not get 5 more years out of you." So
oh my God, that's not going to end good. Yeah. But you did it, and you came. So what happened on that night in the club in New Zealand where Matt Mueller, your manager, and the guy that kind of found you, what did you do on that evening that made him so say, "Oh my God, this guy is amazing"?
I mean, beyond the shots, no, it was more, he just kind of chatted about like where he comes from, what his vision is, what kind of artists he likes, and where he wants to put his energy. And you know, he was someone that wanted to support up and coming musicians. You know, he wants to grow with them. And when he tells me that he wants to grow with me as a musician, you know, and try and connect some dots and connect this kind of Kiwi culture with German culture. I really love that because, you know, you can easily, you know, New Zealand is so beautiful, but you are really stuck in the bottom of the world. So
it is not the biggest place for musicians. That's correct. Yes.
No, no. But I mean, there is so much great music coming out of there. 660, Lord, Benny, Crowded House, like it's Fat Freddy Strop. I mean, there's so much music. And I think what I really liked, what Matt wanted to do was kind of, kind of take these Kiwi musicians and also just show them to the rest of the world. And for me, it really was a wake up, because when I came to Berlin, I was like, wow, oh, wow, okay. So everybody's coming to Berlin, and it's just, there's so much opportunities. You can fly out to London, go to wherever you want to go. So for me, it just opened up 1,000 doors. And in New Zealand, it's more like you see these international musicians come, you're like, oh, wow, oh my gosh, that's, oh, wow, that's, this person, this person. And it's almost like a nostalgic thing. And, now in Berlin, you actually live with these people that are coming in and out. So, yeah.
Right. So you arrived in Berlin. Was it hard the first couple of weeks, or were you just like totally partying the whole time? Or did it get straight into the music? Because if I know Matt, he probably wanted to get started as soon as you arrived.
I think he did. I mean, Matthias Muller's, he's get up 6 a.m. in the morning and let's go. And he's such a hard worker, which is, really inspiring. But he kind of told me, I was 22. So I think he was quite understanding and quite aware. And he just said, look, first 2 weeks, just do your thing, absorb into Berlin and, just kind of get your feet back down on the ground. And so the first 2 weeks, it was like catching on my sister, and I did do a little bit of party for sure. And it was summer, it was June. So I was experiencing it. And then after, I think the first 2 weeks, then I met a production group called Abby, and they're became my older brothers. And then they kind of started with Crazy Better Records just to settle me into the Berlin scene. So, and then came the German school, and then, Yeah.
And then you got to meet Franz and Phil, Alle Farben, who you worked with together on the song She Moves. And that was like the first time that I heard your name. I mean, what was that like, that feeling to be promised back in New Zealand, when you come to Germany, I will make a success out of your singing, and all of a sudden, there it is. That must have been like, okay, this Matt guy seems to know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a rare thing. Definitely is a rare thing in music, when someone says they're going to do something and they actually do it and it actually happens.
Yeah.
And you're kind of sitting there because, there is, and understandably, there's a lot of skeptics around the music industry. There's a lot of promises that aren't, fulfilled.
It's 90% a bad business. You have to be honest. I mean, if you, let's say it as it is, but to make it, I mean, how many bands tour around weird pubs and clubs and bars, just to make $10 or something like that, and all of a sudden, you are in the upper 10% of this group, and all of a sudden it's starting to work. That must have been like a really nice feeling.
It was absolutely mad. Like for me, it's like still every day and every show that I do, I'm just like freaking stoked and grateful for it. It's just because I think if you lose that feeling, it's like, then you're not gunning for it anymore. You're not like, I'm just like, can't believe to do this every day. And I'm stoked. And like, I guess for me now, I'm 30 and I like to be able to give these opportunities to other people, try and do sessions, trying to combine them. But for me, going back to like Alle Farben, I mean, this kind of showed me the power of networking and the power of like, I got that gig and that songwriting session because one of the boys from Abbey, who now plays guitar with Apparat, he was doing the guitar work for Alle Farben, and those guys were looking for singers. And then through the grapevine, I came in, songwriters. And I think of course I was mega fortunate, but I think this shows the power of no matter how big or small or where they're from, it's like just network and meet people and try new things. And then suddenly something might actually happen, even if it's within me, which was lucky in 6 months, but it might happen in freaking 10 years. It doesn't matter. But I think for
well,
me,
what happened was a platinum single.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Yeah. And to be honest, we didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, this Alle Farben, he was underground. We thought it was going to be a backlash, like he was going from underground straight to pop. And, we didn't know what was going to happen. We thought, okay, there's going to be a big backlash. We don't know if it's going to get radio. But we just gave it a go, and it worked out. And it was quite funny to be with Franz with Alle Farben at the beginning, because he'd never been really radio interviews or anything like that.
I know. Yeah,
he was hilarious. But yeah, it was an incredible feeling. At that time, I was 22, and of course, I didn't obviously know the scope of it and how big it was. Yeah. I was just like, "Woo, that's cool. That's great. A gold. That's awesome." And I didn't know. Now, like the older I got, I was like, "Oh shit, that was quite a big start." And like, fortunate stuff.
For everybody watching around the world, Alle Farben, which means all colors, is a very successful German producer who's had multiple top 10 hits in Europe. So that's what we're talking about. The guy is called Franz. So then you moved on to Parov Stelar, which is also a really different kind of genre. How did that work out? Was that the network as well? Or did he hear the song, or did you bang on the door?
No, exactly. I mean, this was the network that like Crazy Penny Records had with Matthias Müller, and they knew the manager of Parov Stelar and sent me with my voice. I just remember when Matt asked me, and he was like, would you be up for doing some kind of song with Parov Stelar? And I checked it out. And I used to be a dancer for 13 years. So electro swing was right down my alley. I loved it.
Right.
But again, that was just by chance. He sent me over a piano demo, just literally a real simple piano with pretty much, I remember it was like 3 chords. That was it. And yeah, I just spent a couple of days in the studio just testing out top lines and some lyrics, and we sent something over. And literally the next thing he sent back was like the finished product. It was so fast. And yeah, that was an incredible experience. That just also to work with someone like Parov Stelar, who is so experienced and so talented, and so like mega professional. It's just he's just going bam, 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 bam. So that was like another thing that just kind of opened my eyes. As a 22-year-old, I was just like, what is going on? And yeah, that was incredible.
What did the guys back home say, after leaving the pub and going to Berlin to do music? What did your sisters say? What did your parents say? I mean, you probably said, I think I can make it. I think I can make it. And all of a sudden, you've got a platinum single. You do music with Alle Farben and Parov Stelar. They must have been like gobsmacked.
I think that was, for my sister, I think she breathed a sigh of relief. My dad, I don't think still even knows what's been going on in Germany. I just think he knows that I'm doing all right. And mum's mum. She was just proud and stoked. And I think for my mates, I think it was like still, I think the day they woke up was when I did a song with Robin Schulz, because they knew who Robin Schulz was. And And I think when that happened, then it was just like so many lovely texts from my friends saying like, stoked you're cranking it in Germany. And I was still, the first 3 years, I was still going, what the heck's going on? I was moving to Germany, and then it was straight away, let's go. And I was ready for that. I was ready for that energy. I wanted to go. I wanted to fucking run.
It's funny you say that, because I don't think Robin Schulz get the credit he deserves, because he is a worldwide star. He's like the biggest export for life with Felix Jan. He's one of the biggest producers in the world. I mean, he's had so many big songs. And I mean, I've known Robin for ages now. I mean, he is like one really down-to-earth guy. Let's drive a Rolls Royce, but he does do good stuff. I mean, the production with him must have been great, because every song that comes from Robin is perfect, I always think.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, he's got such a great team around him as well, that I think is sharing his same views. And I know Robin, he's going bam, 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 let's go. And so is his team. I mean, they're just gunning for it. And I'm stoked for his start as well. I mean, he had a great start, and he just kept going. It's like he didn't drop the ball. And I think it's incredible what he's done. It's a big inspiration for a lot of young DJs as well. You know, I think it was pretty cool. And I was also like still at that point, Robin Schulz, when that Sugar came out and you know, Mr. Probs, I love those songs. They were amazing.
Yeah, everyone in the world did, I think.
Oh,
you know, that's
man.
that's one of the best-selling songs ever. Waves. I mean, everyone knows that.
It just absolutely blew up. And yeah, I remember that Stefan Dabro gave me a shout, and at that time, that song we did for Life, we were actually going to release that with Kygo, I think it was.
Oh, right.
It was going to be like a pretty crazy one, and then didn't end up working out, and the song became an album song. And I think the next single they did was Heat Wave with was it Akon? Usher.
I should know that. I should know that. I should definitely know that.
I should know that.
Google it really quickly, but we'll.
It's like 2014, so yeah.
yeah.
But yeah.
Right. So, do you get homesick, or are you a German now?
I for sure get FOMO. I get homesick a lot. I think I'm definitely a family guy, and of course I miss the beach and surfing and stuff like that, but I think it's like that sacrifice. I mean, it's not a big sacrifice. It's freaking Germany. It's great to live here. But I think just like when I do get a bit homesick, I'm like, well, you know, I'm able to do my dream every day at the moment. And, you know, and I just want to keep doing it. I want to keep going. And I think that's kind of keeps me going through it a bit. It's just like, oh shit, I miss home, I miss fam, miss the beach. Sometimes the culture for sure. But then I'm like, man, I'm waking up every day and doing music. So shut the heck up. You know, I'm happy. Yeah. So, you know. It
was Akon. I just Googled it.
It was Akon. Okay.
It was Akon. So we got that right.
Okay.
Right. So, I mean, you know, during the pandemic, you were in lockdown in Berlin, which, you know, is probably for you, like you've not been there that long. You don't probably speak perfect German. What was that like for you, being in a totally weird city, a different city, and your parents are back home in New Zealand? All of a sudden, this worldwide pandemic thing comes. That must have been quite scary.
Yeah, I mean, it was strange. I didn't feel scared. I was actually kind of, this sounds horrible, but I was kind of looking forward to it a bit because, I mean, I usually touring with Alle Farben and then with my band and then my solo stuff. And this was kind of the first time in 6 years that I was just going to stay at home. And finally I was like rebirthing all these ideas and songs that I had and just kind of digging my feet in and just kind of being at myself with my own mind. I kind of have to say it was kind of a resetting button for me. I also went back to German school did an online course. Like this, it kind of felt like, oh, okay, everything just kind of like, you know, the dust settled and I could just kind of concentrate on myself instead of traveling and networking and songwriting sessions. So, I mean, I have to say, I kind of enjoyed to just use that time for something else because usually I didn't have time to just, what was that song idea I had 4 years ago? So for me, it was kind of like an opportunity, and I loved that opportunity to take it. The only hard thing,
it was like going into power saving mode, wasn't it? I mean, you had the time, and you had the time for yourself, and I think it changed the way that I think about quite a few things because I used to be on the road every week. I'm doing a festival here. We were doing Tomorrowland. We were doing Big City Beats World Club Dome. We were doing the biggest festivals, and all of a sudden it was nothing. And I started to realize that I was going like this, and like I was going into like some kind of half twilight zone, but I was quite enjoying it because it wasn't hectic. You had more time to think about things, maybe too much time at the end of the day. But you know, I know what you mean.
Yeah, there's definitely times I was just like, I just want to go and I want to play a show. Like that was like huge for me because I mean I'm a performer like heart and soul. And I think for me, I definitely like there was times I was really enjoying it. Like wake up in a day, okay, like what do I want to achieve today? What do I want to write? But there's some days I was just like, man, I miss touring. I miss the show. I miss the musicians. And I'm guessing you also like, you're at this kind of stage. And sometimes it goes, sometimes it goes like this.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest thing for me was watching New Zealand in the first 6 months. They were having summer.
They closed everything down there. That was one of the biggest lockdowns ever.
Yeah, but I mean, the first lockdown, and it was like last year, New Zealand had the freedom. You know, that was hard to watch. now they're catching up. You know, the last like 3 months, they've shut down.
That's true. Yeah, it came a bit later down there, didn't it? Yeah,
it came pretty late. Like I think it was the first big lockdown for us. They were cranking it with shows, and it was amazing for New Zealand.
True.
New Zealand music, it was incredible because a lot of the time in New Zealand, you know, people are excited to see international bands, or, you know, even when Australian bands come over, it's really big. But this is a time where like there was none of that. There was no U2 coming over. There was no, you know, Chemical Romance. There was nothing. So all you could watch was Kiwi local music. And I think it was a kind of incredible thing, because I think a lot of the, you know, New Zealanders were actually discovering, oh shit, we've got awesome bands in this country.
Yeah.
Like, you always had, man. You always had. So
Good.
I think it's brilliant.
Let's talk about the tours then. I mean, you know, it's quite hard at the moment, but hopefully we're getting there. I mean, you've played at amazing places like Glastonbury, Lollapalooza. What was that like? I mean, I always wanted to go to Glastonbury, never made it. I do Tomorrowland, I do the other big festivals, but Glastonbury is still on my bucket list. I haven't been there yet. And when you see the videos or the reports on TV from the BBC, that looks amazing.
I mean, there's no words.
Hard to explain, probably.
Yeah, it's like I guess for me, it is everything you would imagine it would be and more. You know, it's like when we got there, it's just like, holy crap. I remember when I realized it was super real, was seeing the lineup and just reading the lineup, and I was just like, what? How is it? Like when we were playing, we were like Saturday night, 7:30. I think it was 7:30 or 9:30 was Saturday night. At the same time we were playing on stage, Adele was playing onto the left of us. Churches was far away. James Blake and freaking, I think it was Tame Impala, was like all around us. Like even when I was playing, it was incredible to play, and I was so stoked. We were outside, and I was so stoked. These people in front of us watching the show, it was raining. They were standing out in the rain.
It always does. It always does. I think Glastonbury, when it's not raining, it's not Glastonbury.
Yeah, exactly. It was like mud and raining, and these people outside like watching our show. And I remember at one stage I got a little bit like emotional, because I was like, you guys are standing in front of our stage. Freaking Adele is playing and singing. Churches is there, James Blake. And I'm like, you're here outside in the freaking rain. And I remember just telling them, like, thank you. Like, honestly, why I didn't expect anybody to be in front of us. And the fact that they were there and cranking it, it was like, and I had like sometimes the first people like waving a New Zealand flag. And I was like, wow, this is
great.
amazing. So for me, it was a really emotional experience. And, but I mean, it's just, you're sitting nestled in between all these artists that I admire and I love.
Yeah.
And that's an incredible thing when you get to see your name nestled in with all these insane artists. And
I remember going to Rock am Ring, which is a big festival in Germany, a big rock festival, and Metallica were headliners on the main stage, and I was watching Keane on a smaller stage, and I remember the singer going on stage and saying, listen, I'm going to do all our best songs at the beginning, because in 20 minutes Metallica's going on the main stage, and then everyone's going to go. And it was like singing all the songs, and all of a sudden the floor started shaking. The main stage went live. There were fireworks and everything. And I'm like thinking, what the hell's going on? And I turned around, I could see Metallica on the stage. And everyone stayed in front of the Keane stage because they weren't there to see Metallica. I mean, a few did go, of course. But it was amazing to know that Metallica's on the main stage and Keane are playing. I mean, that was like 10 years ago. They weren't as big then as they are now. And I was like really emotional. So I know what you mean. This feeling, these people are not there because they walked past and thought, oh, he looks quite cute. They were there to listen to your music.
It was incredible. Honestly, I got like super emotional about it because, and I try to keep it together as much as possible because, you know, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, these people are just, holy crap. And honestly, just getting that love and that time, like, because I always remember, especially even just in small shows, people took the time to come and see you play.
Yes.
People took the energy and they gave it back to you. You know, even if they, you know, this is what I say sometimes if I've done like, you know, maybe a lecture at Mannheim Pop Academy, it's like, if one person takes the time to listen to 3 minutes 30 of your story, of your song, of your stuff, that's like far out. like, you know, of course 1,000 is amazing, 10,000 is even better, but still it's like, for me, I just love it. I'm so appreciative of it. And that's exactly what you're talking about, Rock and Ring. Like this freaking Metallica playing, and these people stay there, and it almost makes it like, fuck yeah, let's crank it together, you and me, let's make a
yeah. It was great. It was really great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about one of the probably the biggest parties you did, not concerts or festivals, but you did the New Year's Eve party in Berlin, which is also for people who are watching around the world, the Brandenburg Gate. Everyone knows that from TV or from school, and they build a really big stage in front of the Brandenburg Gate, and there are like millions of people. It's like the mall in London is exactly quite the same in Berlin. It goes down a really, really long street and everyone's standing there. And if you're like 20 rows back, you can't see a thing, but you can feel the music. And you were there. Wow.
Yeah, it was, I mean, to be from New Zealand, to play on a stage like that for the German, you know, New Year's, it was
on TV, a million people. I mean, this is one of the biggest broadcasts in Europe.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's still nuts to think about it now today. It's just like, again, it's one of these situations I never thought I'd be in. And, you know, and saying that, you know, I've played all these big shows. We've also done all the small ones. So like, it was kind of, you know, we've played 1,000 capacity venues to 10 people. And this is kind of it. We're kind of like, okay, maybe that next show is going to come. Maybe that next show is going to come. There's going to be a few more people. And then suddenly it's playing on the stage in front of this amount of people. But the whole thing in that kind of situation just happened so quickly. Like, you're on stage, you kind of do your thing, and you look out to all these people, and you get off stage and you don't even realize, like, what just happened? And then you see it on TV and you're like, oh, wow, okay, that was pretty nuts. But
when they do the wide zoom and you're on stage and there's people and people and people and people, and it doesn't stop. I mean, you're watching that probably on YouTube and later, but you're thinking, oh my God, they couldn't even probably see me right at the back, but they could hear me.
But it was, yeah, I mean, it was so like, you know, I'm so stoked and you know, super fortunate to be able to play that stage. But the funniest thing is with that kind of vibe is performing in front of 10,000 or you know, 5,000 or more or whatever. I'm easy. Like, I can go on, I just see a sea of people, you know, do your whole thing like this. But when it comes to the small shows, to like, you know, 20,
a lot of people say that. Yes.
I freak out. Like, I'm standing there, like, before a show, I'm losing my voice because I'm getting so nervous. They're going to hear every single thing of it. And that's when I'm so like nervous, and then you see everyone's eyes and see if, you know, someone's on their phone, if someone's yawning, if someone's singing, if someone's
asleep,
you know. Yeah. And that's like that's harder for me. So I mean, for me, the million, that was incredible. And yeah, that was a lifetime thing. I'm pretty honored to have played there. So no other words, man. That was pretty special.
The Global Icon, the reason we're doing it is to bridge the different genres. Is it a producer? Is it a songwriter? Is it a rapper? Is it a musician? What do you think has to happen in the music industry in the future? Because I mean, you know, bands can hardly pay their rent due to the really weak profits they earn on Spotify and the other social media platforms. Do you think that this has to change? Oof. Or is it the way it is?
I mean, I personally right now, I mean, I'm a songwriter also as a music, like a singer, but I mean, I think drastically what needs to change is what songwriters get for songs when they get released, and what their paycheck is. I think it's, you know, especially for bands when it's cut, usually, you know, 4 to 5 ways. You know, there's not much buck in there to be a songwriter for your album. And I think that is one thing that kind of the value of songwriting has gone down drastically, you know, to be a songwriter. It's like, you know, if you have a kid, or if I was to tell my dad as a 13-year-old, I'm going to be a songwriter. Like, okay, so what are you going to do on the side? You know, it's like, I think this is something kind of drastic, and it's a shame because it's going to be less and less original music coming out. You know, it's going to be this, you know, there's already AI coming, you know, it's like that kind of shit. I think that has to drastically change in order that all this new original music comes. And saying that, if you are a songwriter, I think you know, you see, for example, like you see all these new restaurants, they're all infused. They all got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of whatever. And I think, you know, even if you are a rock singer, I mean, I'm was a singer-songwriter. I've gone into reggae, I've done hip hop, I've done, you know, fucking classical, whatever. And I think it's also good to keep an open headspace, and to fuse your music and songwriting with so many things. You know, who knows what happens when you put classical with hip hop together, and you know, who knows what happens when you put rock and musical theater together. So I think it's kind of, you can have your own thing, but I think keep your doors wide open, because I think that's the future. It's like, let's just fuse everything. We're all one big family, which is the freaking music industry, good or bad. And I think it's just like, let's keep original, let's keep together and support each other. And I think that should be the future, because I think we're fighting now against technology. We're now fighting against the new systems with fucking streaming and all that kind of stuff. So I think what we need to do as a collective is stay together and freaking write with each other and support each other, but with live or with anything, like, you know. So it's been amazing.
As the digital world, has it made a positive change? I mean, you've got like suppliers like DistroKid or Spin Up from Universal, and anyone can sit in their bedroom with a €300 computer and make a hit if they have the talent. Is it good that you can do like your independent releases on a platform for £100 or $100, or do you think it's better to go through the big labels because they have more power? I think a lot of people, I mean, the question I'm asking is really, can you be a star by using these small, supplier apps like DistroKid or Spin Up, or do you need a major?
No, I think, of course, there's pros and cons for everything. There's pros and cons that everybody can now all these streaming services, and there was pros and cons beforehand where you got more fan base because there was less, there's so much songs getting uploaded every day. But what I love right now is that if you are a songwriter or a musician or a singer, or an artist, and you don't have the money to be able to, you don't have a major label, you don't have a major publishing, this is what is incredible about it. You could literally like sit at home with a few programs, with a little bit of money at the beginning, buy these programs, do it yourself with your own style and put it out. And that is incredible, because then you don't, the big major labels and the radios don't hold the power to what gets big. They get, of course, the power of, what certain songs get big, but I think it's an incredible situation we're in now, is that anything can happen now. Like, nobody knows, even when we've released singles that we think are going to go big, they don't. And songs don't think are going to go big. And I think this is what we're in. It's kind of like this, like, who knows what's going to happen, what's going to go big. So I think it's a really positive thing. And I think it's opened up the whole spectrum. It's opened up the whole game. So I think it's especially for anybody that's sitting there like, oh man, I don't have a major, I don't have a publisher, I don't have a manager. It doesn't matter much anymore. It's like, you can still do your thing, you can still release it, and you still have the possibility to sync it to playlists, or to get on the radio, get it onto, I don't know, TikTok these days.
So your advice would be to the young talent out there: just keep trying. You don't need a major, but if you're good, someone will hear you, and someone will like you, and your fan base will grow.
That is exactly pretty much what I'm saying, is don't freaking give up. Like, you just gotta keep going. It might not happen this year, might not happen next year, might happen the year after. It's like, it's pretty, I mean, look at my favorite example is LP. LP went through 7 labels. She was 35 years of age. And, in the music industry and whatever, okay, you've got a label, you're a 35-year-old woman. And she just kept going and just keep going. And then suddenly she comes out with Lost on You, 450 million streams Spotify. And now she's blowing up. And this for me was an inspiration when I was looking at it, because I was also going through a lull. Like the DJ stuff had kind of gone down. I hadn't released for a while. And then I was like, fuck, I don't have my label deal with BMG anymore. I'm a free agent at the moment. And then I was just like, I'm just going to keep writing. And I luckily had my best friend, Derek Ollenboom, beside me doing that with me. And that's another thing. If you do feel like you're getting a bit, if someone is watching this, I found I was going through a bit of a lull, and I didn't have my major label and whatever. And then I just ended up like, man, I'll just write with my best friend, or I'll just find someone that I can feed off. And if I don't have that label, if you don't have the publisher, you can find someone that you can feed off, you know, and just like keeps you going. So yeah, I think that's a long answer to something, but yeah,
that's fine. That's what it's all about. I mean, you know, I love to hear the different approaches, because I mean, everyone has highs and lows. I mean, I had days where I was like on the biggest radio stations, and I had days where I was working on little radio stations, and it went back to the big ones. Everyone has that. Everyone.
I think that's the process, you know, like, and also just kind of figuring out when you do hit that kind of rock bottom, so if you might, you know, I've gone through a bit of a down spiral sometimes, and I'm like, okay, what can I do different? What can I how can I shake this up? Because you might have gone, you know, sometimes I've gone down a road and the music's changed now. That music that I was writing is not on the radio, or DJs don't want to have that song anymore. So I'm like, okay, what's happening now? What are they doing now? What am I doing wrong that I can fix? So I think that's it. It's just keep going, keep molding yourself, keep adapting. And, you know, as Brad Pitt said in Moneyball, I love this. This is adapt or die. Like, just go for it. Yeah.
What's coming up in the next couple of weeks, months, years, hoping that we can continue as we are right now and not another lockdown? What are your dreams, your plans?
Well, I just literally released my my first EP in 6 years, my first like album, like even if it's a small album, in 5 years. So that's been an amazing thing to get out, called Keep On Smiling.
Yes.
Next is I've been writing over this lockdown. So I think it's now gathering these songs, sending them out to either some musicians that are looking for songs, combining an album, my album of mine. And for me, which has been incredible in the last year and a half, is I've had all these ideas to have like a rock band and a folk band and my hip hop project and my EDM project. And it is a lot of work to be able to make all these things happen. But because a year and a half has been kind of stop still with tour, we've now combined songs. Like we started a rock band called Bliss with Eric Alcock and Derek Ollenboom, and we've written 8 songs together, and we want to get that out.
Great.
I've got a hip hop project called G Doggy Pop, I Still Need to Let Fly, Free Range Kids, the folk project, and My Parade I finally got out with Derek Ollenboom, which is an EDM project. And I just like,
oh my God, you're doing everything right now.
And I've always had a dream to do those side projects, because for me, side projects are like, I don't have to work. Like for my solo stuff, it's a lot of, you know, concentrating. Is this right? Is this the right move? Is this the right song, the right story? But side projects, it's fun as fuck.
Oh, great.
So I'm really excited to start getting that music out. Already one project's been released called My Parade, and that's going really well. And next is hopefully the rock band, and then on and upwards. So that's my future, is getting my album out, and then drinking a lot of coffee and doing these 4 other side projects, and just going.
And don't forget, when you're in Berlin, you have to do a bit of party as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's networking too over here in Berlin. So it's kind of all of that. But you know, my mum always said, don't burn the candle at both ends, but that's what I like to do.
Well, that's it. You have one candle. We don't know how long it is, so let's see.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Graham, it was amazing talking to you on the show today. The Global Icon Conversations with Graham Candy from New Zealand, living in Berlin. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
for you, my friend.
And happy birthday, bro.
Thank you very much. All the best.
Cheers,
bye, Graham. Thank you.
Cheers,
bye. Bye. Cheers.